Killer's Kiss, a short story by Austin Taylor. A cheater he was, and dead he will be, says one of the girls in the group. They had gathered together at the local coffee shop and discussed him. He, who goes by the name David, is a rich architect with his whole life ahead of him. When he started receiving checks in the mail with more zeros on them that you couldn't count on both of your hands, he was larger than life. He started to date and getting to know more people. He had something special with one girl named Jenny, and who couldn't? She was gorgeous. She had wavy, long black hair and a tattoo of a heart on her left wrist, something that symbolizes her daughter who passed away years before. As cocky and wise as he thought he was, he snuck out every night when Jenny fell asleep to find himself another girl. The second girl was named Mary, and they met at one of the buildings he was designing. She was your typical blonde, smart, witty, and for the most part, tall. While she was asleep, again, David would leave her and went out looking for more. The third girl was named Karen. She was the first one to get skeptical, but we are getting too ahead of the story. She was the snappy redhead, and she wasn't going to take crap from anybody. If you angered her in any way, she would put you in your place. You would think that 3 is enough for one man, but he kept seeking for more. At this point, he had to make excuses why he couldn't do this or that, and it worked. For a while. The fourth girl was named Natalie, and she was a punk rocker with blue hair. They had met at a local club in the valley called Spice. The fifth and final girl was named Grace, and she was the singer-songwriter. She wasn't big, but she had put out an album that sold a few copies, mostly to family members. I guess you could say her album went aluminum. This girl was special because David finally thought that enough was enough, and he was willing to settle down with this one girl. But it wasn't going to end well. Karen, who we mentioned before, was told by a friend of David's that he had seen him with a different girl every night. That night, while David slept, she snuck into the other room and went through his wallet. Inside, she found 5 phone numbers, each labeled Jenny, Mary, Natalie, Grace, and Karen. She called them and asked to meet her at the coffee shop tomorrow at noon while David is at work. Inside the coffee shop, each girl shows up one by one, and they all sit at the table and talk about the situation. "We need to get revenge," Karen says. The punk rocker Natalie immediately spoke up. "Let's kick him in the balls." Then Mary says, "Let's lock him in a room for a full day." And Jenny says, "That's stupid. How about we destroy his house?" Grace didn't say anything. She was more upset, but Karen had an idea. She says, "I've got a better idea. We need to kill him." All 4 of them gasped and started laughing nervously because they didn't think she was serious. But she was. She continues, "Think about it. We can make it look like an accident, and nobody would ever suspect us." Grace says, "When should we do it?" This being the first thing she said since she walked in. "How about tomorrow? He and I are supposed to have dinner around 7:30, Karen says. They all agree, get up from the table one by one, and left the coffee shop in separate directions. The following night, just as promised, he showed up at Karen's place for dinner. The other 4 girls were already there, hiding in the back room. They didn't act right away. They wanted him to get comfortable with his surroundings. After they ate dinner, the 4 girls came out of hiding. The look on David's face told them how nervous he was at that moment. They all pull out knives and almost stab him, but Karen yells at them to hold on. She kneels down to his level and says, "Now you know why you're here. Got anything to say?" David becomes emotional. Not that he was about to die, but that he got caught red-handed. He looks up at them and starts laughing hysterically, and the girls aren't having it. They lift their knives once more, and before they could cause any damage, David pulls out a can of pepper spray and nails all 5 of them in the eyes. Falling to the ground in agony, David stands up and puts his jacket on. He turns around, about to leave, but turns back and kicks them all, except for Grace. He then leaves, Slamming the door behind him, Karen was the first to get up off the floor and wipe her eyes. The others followed. Grace speaks up again, this also being the first thing she said on this particular day. She says, "Let's go get that cheating bastard." They all agreed, and the four walked out the door. Karen grabs her purse and leaves with them. David walks down to the parking garage and gets to his car, and at the end of the garage stands the four lovers, killers. David laughs to himself because he doesn't think that they're going to do anything. Karen reaches in her purse and pulls out a revolver, fires 3 shots at him, and he ducks down. Now fear begins pulsating through his body. He quickly hops into his car, starts it, and drives away. Karen tells the girls, "Don't worry, I know where he's going." David gets to his house and goes down the stairs to his gun safe. The girls get a taxi over to his street, but the security guard won't let them through. Karen pulls out a revolver and unloads on the poor man. The other girls are in shock, but say nothing to her. She opens the gate and they walk through. Karen reloads her gun and busts down the front door. David runs out with his gun and open fires. It hits Grace in the stomach. She kneels against the wall, taking in her last breaths, gives David the middle finger, and dies. David is broken and apologetic because this girl was his true love. That's why he didn't kick her when he left the apartment. He did spray her with the pepper spray, but that was on accident. The damage has already been done, and the girls were going to finish him off once and for all. They were going to make sure that he will never do this again. The four walk over to him, and he crawls over to the wall next to Grace. Karen kneels down to his level, and before she could do anything, David asks, "Wait, can I just have one more kiss?" Karen loads up the revolver and places the barrel in his mouth and says, "Kiss this." The remaining 4 killers, lovers, leave the $2.5 million mansion in accomplishment until they are all arrested a few days later. When Karen had killed that security guard, they forgot to destroy the cameras. In the end, they got rid of the cheater, but at what a cost. They are expected parole in 2067. Let this be a lesson to all the cheaters out there, or end up with a 4-inch barrel in your face. The end.